Did you guys hear what the Boise State, I think it was the athletic director said that the Boise State athletic director said, Jeramiah Dickey, NCAA football is coming to an end. Brett McMurphy tweeted it yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
You look at this Florida State thing, I think you look at how pissed Greg Sankey is, and he is pissed. He's made that clear. You look at the dead bodies on the field in the SEC, and you look at Boise State saying their athletic director Jeremiah Dickey saying NCAA football is coming to an end. That he predicts that football will break away from the NCAA.
Well, this isn't the first time we've heard this. Well, we heard this 6 months ago.
But do you guys believe that a super league is inevitable, or something like that? I think it's inevitable, and I go back to what Kyle Whittingham said on, I think, 365.
Yeah.
From Media Day.
So much change already, and there's more on the horizon. I can tell you that. We're not done. I think it's ultimately going to get to 2 super conferences and their own playoff system, and probably break away from the NCAA. Have a commissioner and all. An NFL minor league model, I think, is where we're heading in that regard.
I think that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And it's what we've talked about on this show forever, but you're hearing it now, like, maybe on the daily is strong, but aren't we talking about this on the regular where somebody in authority or in a position of influence, if you're the athletic director at Boise State, I don't care how you slice it, strength of schedule be damned, you're in a position of influence now.
Right, yeah.
So I don't see how college football doesn't go to some sort of super league model.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's inevitable. I think that, the power conferences need a better system. This goes all the way back to, what we talked about earlier in the week with Brett Yormark saying that, he's not in favor of third party, interference, I think he said, or whatever. Yes. But that the system needs to be revamped, and that, they would like to, bring in private money. I think when you're talking about that, you're talking about selling shares. And then you're talking about creating a new system for the power conferences to compete more efficiently and have everything decided on the field, which I think is what the sport needs.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think that when you look at where we're going and how influential is Boise State? Does Boise State carry any water in this town?
No.
You've gone from the Mountain West to the Pac-12, right? And after next season. So essentially a year from now. You're going to be in the Pac-12. Can you legitimately say Mountain West Pac-12 College Football Super League?
No.
It doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't mean it can't happen.
They would have to find a way to have a ton more money. Yeah, I mean, again, and this is, I'm telling you, the next thing in college football is selling shares of your program to private equity so that you can afford to be in the Super League.
More NFL teams are doing it.
Yeah.
The Miami Dolphins and the Philadelphia Eagles, I think yesterday announced that they sold 10% stakes in their franchises to private equity. The guy that owns Joseph Tsai, the guy that owns the Brooklyn Nets, now owns 10%. His group now owns 10% of the Dolphins. There's too much money here not to do it.
I mean, it was an $8 billion valuation for everything.
$8 billion.
So, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Bro, do you understand how much money $8 billion is?
Yeah. Yep. It's a lot of money, dude.
Obviously, college football franchises aren't worth that. But if you're getting half that, is Alabama football worth $1 billion? Come on. It is. There's no doubt it is. So if you're Boise State, if let's just play a game. If Alabama's worth $1 billion, what is Boise State worth? Half that?
Nah. Quarter of that at most.
So you think Boise State's worth $250 million?
Yeah, at most. Yeah.
It has to be more than that.
No, it doesn't. If Alabama football,
if you're only worth, because by some estimations, it's going to cost you $500 million to play major college football.
Mm-hmm.
You're not worth what it costs to compete. I I don't know. I think that's a very interesting conversation. I think it is very interesting
I just
to
don't
see.
think that Boise State or any G5 would be worth $1 billion.
Okay, what is SMU worth?
Not $1 billion. They're not.
More than Boise State?
More than Boise State. Yeah, I mean, SMU, I'd probably say is 500 mil, probably, for the whole thing.
But they have equal seats at the table.
I guess. I mean, Boise State has to run the table every year to do it. I mean, like at some point I would think there'd be another G5 that would actually compete with them.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. You're in little old Boise, Idaho. Obviously, SMU, read their jerseys, man. They're in Dallas. But I don't think that it's going to be easy for most of these teams to compete. That's my whole point.
I think what you're going to see is that, whether like if you look at all the top brands in college football, SEC brands, Big Ten brands, whoever you want to look at, but if you pool all those teams together and you start to understand, hey, like let's say that, getting involved with Alabama or Ohio State or Texas or whoever is $1 billion venture. And all of these, you've got 10 or 15 of those teams that are all $1 billion teams, let's say.
Right.
Then, you're gonna come into a situation where it does in fact cost more to be in the Super League than your school is worth for one share. So a Boise State in that scenario would have to sell multiple shares to be involved. And that's why I'm saying you're not going to see Boise State. If that is the model, you wouldn't see Boise State in the Super League. What you would see is Boise State and many others at the G5 level would create their own system that is much more affordable, that brings the ratios back into alignment.
I don't know. I think it is going to be very interesting to see how you value these teams. And I think you have to have a clear-cut, rock-solid way of saying you qualified because you won on the field.
Right.
Because again, and I'm not trying to get into the argument, this idea that SMU is more deserving than BYU or is more deserving than Alabama or whatever argument you want to have, SMU doesn't belong in the college football playoff.
Well, and here's my other question too. Is the Super League, in reality, what does it wind up turning into? Do we get a Super League where you're only playing Super League games?
Yes.
Or is it,
yeah. That's what they've all talked about.
Right. But what I'm saying is that we don't know what it's going to be yet. That's what they've talked about. But
I don't think there's any doubt. I think when you look at Smash Capital and you look at, because I think Smash Capital and talking to people around college football and TV, those people all believe Smash Capital has the best proposal. Here is 100, different private equity companies who all want to put neat little stickers on the field, right? What is Smash Capital saying? Hey, here is $10 billion. Here is a massive TV contract to go there. Smash Capital is saying, here's a whole truckload of money, $10 billion to get you started. Here's a new TV contract with all of the major networks to get you started. And here are, because the other thing that Smash Capital has done, they've already sold it to brand partners, right? Like here's Ford Motor Company. Here's who's a big spot, Dr. Pepper. They've already gone out and sold it. Here's, and from some estimations in the TV industry, top of the table, you do the math, top of the table TV people are telling me that they believe that they have more than $1 billion already ready to go from corporate America. All just on a, hey, are you in? Are you in? Are you? Yeah, $1 billion. So you're talking about probably a $3 billion TV deal, $10 billion in money, and $1 billion in sponsorship without obviously without signed contracts. That's $14 billion. That's what Smash Cap is allegedly talking about. So when Smash Cap is saying, hey, here's $14 billion, by the way, we're going to form a super league. Most people think it's 70 teams. And you're only allowed to play those 70 teams. To get in, you have to have $1 billion in equity, which means stadium, you have to have $1 billion valuation in infrastructure. And if you don't, you have to be liquid to the point to make it up.
Right.
So if you're Boise State, you've got this beautiful renovated facility. And if you're SMU, you've got, but if your physical assets do not add up to $1 billion, you have to have the liquidity to meet that number.
Yeah.
That's what they're talking about. You essentially are doing, what is your net worth? Oh, your net worth is $800 million. You better have $200 million in liquidity to make that up.
Right.
And who was the first school that was brought up to me when I was talking to somebody about this the other day? Boise State. Because Boise State probably doesn't have the liquidity.
Yeah.
Look at Oregon State. Oregon State's got major Reser money, Reser Stadium, but they've also got major stadium debt. Look at California, Cal Berkeley. Does Cal Berkeley have an asset sheet that says they're worth $1 billion? Do they have the liquidity to make that up? Because that's what we're talking about. So when you say, hey, are we only going to play teams in that Super League? Yeah. No more Citadel for Clemson. And if you happen to be the Kansas City Chiefs who play nobody, that's just the way the cookie crumbled that year. If you happen to be Georgia, who got the toughest schedule in the conference and in the country, that's just the way the cookie crumbled that year.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how the NFL does it. And do you think Kyle Whittingham is talking about an NFL minor league on accident? No, that's the verbiage being spread. So you look at the money we're talking about. Congratulations, Boise State, for going to the Pac-12. But we're operating with Gonzaga because they get you closer to a Super League? No, they don't play football.
Yeah.
Are you operating with San Diego State? San Diego State's not playing in a 70-team Super League.
Mm-hmm.
They are not worth $1 billion, even with Snapdragon. They're not worth $1 billion. To me, it makes all the sense in the world. It makes all the sense in the world. Is Stanford worth $1 billion? Yes. Do 3 people go to their games? Yes. Why do you think UCLA is so in favor of renovating the Rose Bowl? Because that helps their valuation. They play their home games at the Rose Bowl. That's it. It is the only path forward, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it's the only path forward. And the TV networks are into a Super League, a 70-team Super League. I think the number is a minimum of $3 billion a year, and potentially as much as $5 billion a year, going to a private entity that administers the College Football Super League. And in that private entity, let's say Greg Sankey's the commissioner and all the university presidents are the ones that essentially own it. Mm-hmm. The universities will have an equity stake in ownership of the Super League. And one of the interesting things, did anybody notice what Ross Dellinger reported the other day about the House settlement? Hey, if I opt in now, can I opt out later? And hey, if I don't opt in now, can I opt in later? The answer is yes. Nobody knew that. Does that mean, let me get this right. If I'm North Dakota State, if I'm Sacramento State, FCS going to FBS, that right there is $500 million. It's a $5 million cash payment. And then you got to really structural and staff up. If I'm Sacramento State and I decide, yeah, you know what? I want to profit share with my athletes, NIL, all that stuff. Here we go. I'm an FBS school. Dude, we can't afford this. We're into year 3 and we are hemorrhaging cash. Yeah, I'm going to opt out. I'm not going to profit share anymore. And we're going to go back to just being, that's what we're talking about. I think you're going to see there are major power conference universities who will not profit share, who will opt out, who will not be in the Super League. And then the question will be, okay, if we have 68 teams, who are the 2 G5 teams that are going to slide into that spot?
Right.
Would Boise State fill that role? I think certainly they would try to.
Mm-hmm.
But who are the other, are you telling me Memphis? Who are the other G5s? with all the money that SMU's not making now, they're not getting $45 million a year at a minimum in media rights distribution. Do you think that money just is no big deal for SMU? I think that's a lot of money they're not realizing. I don't know. I think it's very interesting. Where do you guys come down on that? Are you stupefied? What are you thinking?
No, I mean, I just think I'm a big believer that, yeah, that's what everyone's talking about, but again, it's still got to get put together. It's still got to be, it's still got to be fully vetted out. We still got to get all the details on this. And I think that, people are trying to make the most money as possible. So what I was going to say is that I'm curious if there's ever an idea brought to the table where the Super League is treated the way Champions League is in soccer, let's say, where you've got the Super League that's kind of on top of what we're already doing and is an additional money-making opportunity to what we're already doing. And that is something that I think is a really fascinating conversation.
But how do you do that?
Well, I think it's exactly what you're talking about. How do you not do it is the question.
Are you saying you keep the regular football schedule?
You keep exactly what you're doing now, and then you have an opportunity where you can opt in or whatever verbiage it's going to be, and the Super League becomes this thing where the best of the best play each other for more money. But hey, like maybe the regular season's treated as a qualifier, and if you win, you get in. Or if you, I mean, there's a million different ways you could go about it, but I just think that I'm not 100% sold that it's just going to be ever like, all the power, because everyone's saying, oh, it's the power leagues just going to get together and we're going to call it the Super League. But to me, if you're going to call something the Super League, it would make more sense to obviously keep your conferences together, do what you're doing now, and then the Super League is an added thing. I think that's an interesting thing.
I just don't know where you play those games. What span of time do you play those games in? What because it wouldn't be December or January. That's when you're playing your championship football. Mm-hmm. You're not going to add games in the summer. You're not going to take weeks off in August through November, because where are you going to make those games up? Mm-hmm. I just don't know that fits into a college football player's life. And I think when I hear what people are proposing, I think that you're going to have to figure out how to make, how do I say this gently? Not everybody can play at the highest level.
Right. Yeah.
And not everybody
That's
should
the whole point.
Play at the highest level.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at, like, SMU's a really fascinating case study. You have boosters fully funding that program because you're not getting a media rights distribution. And you just spent tens of millions of dollars on legal fees with this Florida State Clemson thing. If you're an ACC program and you're, again, SMU, that's a huge hole. Do you understand that $45 million you're not getting covers your NIL payments? It covers more than that. It covers all kinds of infrastructure costs. Because if your NIL commitment's $20 million a year, mm-hmm. That's money that you're not making up. There's no way to replace that money that you're not getting paid, the $45 million.
Right.
I think that's really tough. That is really, really tough. It's going to be really interesting to see. All right, let's get into the comment section here on the Monty Show. As always, the comment section is presented by our good friends at Prize Picks. I encourage you, get to Prize Picks, download the app, use the promo code Monty, M-O-N-T-Y, Monty, and let's look at that Patrick Mahomes pick. Because a lot of people asked me yesterday about what I meant when I said half a yard. It's legitimately half a yard. If you take the Patrick Mahomes play, and here's what I did. Patrick Mahomes, for half a yard, obviously the only option there is to take more. And then I went and I looked at receiving and rushing TDs. And I look at Puka Nacua on a demon to just catch a touchdown against the Niners tonight. Do you like that, Jake?
I do. And I like the Cooper Kupp demon as well for rushing or receiving touchdown. That's excellent.
I think those two are really tough to overlook.
Yeah.
And as good as George Kittle was last week, how do you not make a George Kittle play?
Right.
Right? So I think you go, is it Puka Nakua or Cooper Kupp? Which one do you like more to score a touchdown?
Probably Puka, but I'm taking them both. I'm because again, the formula is 2 or 3. So if Patrick Mahomes is half a yard, then you take both Puka and Cooper.
Puka Nakua.
You're I mean, it's essentially, an auto win. Like one of those guys is catching a touchdown or rushing for a touchdown.
Okay, I'm going to take Puka Nakua.
Puka Nakua.
And then the others for tonight that are interesting, and maybe it's passing touchdowns. Brock Purdy, 2.5 passing touchdowns.
Excuse me, it's Brocktober.
I'm sorry, Brocktober. Does Brocktober throw 3 touchdowns? He's on a demon for 3 touchdowns tonight.
Their offense ain't that good right now.
I don't know. They were humming against the Bears. The Bears are terrible.
So.
The Bears are terrible. I agree with that. I think that's a really tough one to pass on. Do you go Brocktober? Sam Darnold, 3 touchdowns against the Bears. That's Monday night. It's Bears and Vikings. And I would think you're just going to get your ass kicked by the Vikings.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting one. I think Patrick Mahomes against Cleveland.
The land.
3 touchdowns on a demon.
Against Crab Stealer.
And then, of course, Jake Moody for 2 field goals.
Of course.
I think you take that one. So I'm going to go Patrick Mahomes, Puka Nakua, and Jake Moody on a flex play.
Nice, dude.
To win $80.
I like it.
It's that simple. This is the conversation you have. And in the NBA, I'm telling you, there's some easy money in the NBA tonight. I think you look at just points, rebounds, and assists. Grady's Dick for 21.
Grady's Dick.
What?
Stay hard.
21.5 points, rebounds, and assists against Miami tonight.
I need a dick.
Dude, this is a family show.
Well, not anymore.
Okay, I'm a bad person. Jason Tatum against Detroit, 40.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And he has done that 3 out of his last 5 games. He missed against Memphis and Miami.
Yeah, I like that. I was going to take him on the demon for rebounds.
10. You think he's getting 10 rebounds?
Yeah, well, look at what he did his last game. Memphis, he had 13. Milwaukee, he had 10. Miami, he had 11. Against Chicago, he had 16, but they're terrible.
I'm going to go Jalen in that game. 33.5 points, rebounds, and assists. The only problem is I worry that they blow him out.
All right, let's scroll over to the turnover tab in the NBA here.
God, you're such a hater with that tab. You're projecting guys to fail. A couple other ones that I really like tonight is where's Keegan Murray? 20.5 points, rebounds, and assists against the New Orleans Pelicans.
Bro, I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
You already know Tobias Harris is good for a turnover on a goblin. You're already know that.
Jerk. Oh my God.
You know that.
Why are you hating?
You know that.
Don't be hating. And then I think it's Jaylen Brown. And then, okay, I shouldn't do it. Let's go turnover. Ooh, what about points combined? Tyler Hero and RJ Barrett, 48 total points combined.
Okay.
Rebound, Bam Adebayo and Jakob Poeltl, 22.5 rebounds.
Seems a little heavy.
It seems a little heavy. I don't like that. What about turnovers? God dog it.
Telling you, Tobias Harris, bro.
What about my guy?
I need a dick in me.
Grady Dick. How about Grady's Dick for 2 turnovers?
Yeah.
He has done that once in his last 5 games.
Probably wouldn't do that.
I mean the other one that is
how about De'Aaron Fox on 1.5 3-pointers made?
Nah.
No, that's a bad one. Can't do it.
Yeah,
Can't do it.
DeMar DeRozan, 3 turnovers on a demon. He's never hit that this season.
Yeah, 3 is heavy.
I don't think that works.
If you're doing turnovers, you got to do half a turnover.
What about Jalen? I'm going to go. I can't take him twice.
Monty.
Jason Tatum turns the ball over a lot. I don't know. I'm probably going Grady's dick. I think that's probably the right one to go
Grady's
with.
dick. I like it.
I'm hoping he does not turn the ball over 2 times. Flex play. All right, let's do it. There you go. $20 to win 80.
There you go.
Download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code Monty.
Hey, Monty.
You deposit $5, they'll give you 50 more instantly. Pimp's going pimp. Good luck. Super League, 8 divisions of 10 teams each. You play 3 non-division games. Then you play the other 9 teams in the division. More money, less travel. Sure. I mean, I could see that. I could see that model. I could see that model happening. You know, but we'll see. Big Daddy Magic.
Oh.
How come you haven't sent me any nudes lately?
Dude, chill.
What? Big Daddy Magic generally will send me a topless video about how
Bill Belichick?
Grady's dick, about how Big Daddy Magic will send me videos about laying in bed without a shirt, looking all wild-eyed, telling me, man, Josh Allen, holy cow. Have you seen that guy's eggplant?
Like, have you seen that guy's eggplant?
He'll send me videos. Oh my God. Victor Wembanyama.
Macaque.
My God. The bad things he did to me last night in the hotel.
Bro.
What? That's who Big Daddy Magic is.
Okay.
And then he'll send me pictures of him and some people that I have no idea who they are. Bro, can you believe I got a picture with him?
Who the fuck is that guy?
And I'm like, isn't that the New York like United Healthcare shooter guy? Like he'll send me just rando pictures. Hey, playa, I'm rolling with
Monty?
What did I tell you? Hey, Monty. Hey, playa, I'm rolling with Josh Allen, and have you accepted him as your beloved MVP? I roll with the almighty, all-beloved Victor in the NBA.
Victor's the way.
I had no idea you roll.
Dude.
You're a fan of Victor Wembanyama?
Holy cow, dude. Breaking news.
Here, I thought you were all in on Emo Jimmy.
I thought you were a Grady Dick fan.
I'm sorry, a what fan?
A Grady Dick fan.
A what fan? Grady's. His name is not Grady.
Okay.
It's ownership. Grady's. Big Daddy Magic, always good to see you.